Hello everyone, so today we're going to be going over how to basically add SSL certificates to a website that is hosted inside of IIS, which is usually inside of a Windows server. And this might come up if you're a sysadmin or something, or if you're in the help desk role and you're just curious, like how we have an internal website that can only be accessed internally, but how do we add a SSL certificate to it? And this is what I'm going to be showing you all today. So for this, I'm not going to be basically building it from the ground up. I'm going to have already some stuff set up, because if not, this video could be very long with setting everything up from scratch. So what you're going to need is you're going to need a Windows server, preferred 2019 or 2016, or actually I think there's 2022 now, or 2021, one or the other. But I usually just use 2019. And then basically on that, you're going to have IIS installed on it. And then on that server also, or you can set up a new one. If you want to get some more hands-on experience, you can set up a new server. Join it to the Windows server domain that you created before. And then you have to also set up a certificate authority on that Windows server. So whether you set up a new server and join it to the domain from the first server you set up, or you can, for easier cases, you can just basically install the certificate authority on the Windows server that you install the IIS on. Also, what you're going to need is you're going to need a Linux VM virtual machine. I prefer Ubuntu, but that's what I've been using. I use the server live version, I believe. And then on the Windows server itself, you're going to need WinSCP installed. That's what I use. I think you can also use FileZilla too, but I just use WinSCP. And you're probably wondering, well, why do we need WinSCP? Well, you're going to see, because we're actually going to use a Linux VM to create the CSR, their certificate sign-in request, and then we're going to have to transfer files back and forth from machines. So once you have all that set up, I'm basically going to show you how to do everything else. So if we go to the next slide, so what are we going to do? So what I'm going to show you all how to do is I'm going to show you how you download the certificates that are needed for this. I'm going to show you 2 openssl commands that are needed for this. And then we're going to import the certificate into IIS. So when you go to the website, it will show as secured with the lock icon right next to where you would type in the URL. And then, because if that's not there, then you're probably going to be getting a lot of users calling in the help desk and stuff. If it's not a standard thing in the company, you might get a lot of calls in help desk. Oh, why is this site not secure? So that's what we're trying to prevent. Unless it's a standard where the site is not secure. If it's not a standard, then you might get some calls into the help desk and stuff. And if we can, let's try our best to eliminate calls into the help desk as much as possible. So without further ado, let's just jump right into the action and get started with this mini lab. Alright guys, let's get right into the lab now. So we have this is our DNS manager, we don't need that. So we have our Windows server, which is 2019 right here. We have our IIS server, which is right here. And inside of here, I created a SSL Cert testing website. And if you go to Explore right here, what I did was inside of the C drive, I went to the inet pub www.root, and I created a testing folder. And inside of there, I basically created a default.htm, and you're probably wondering, well, why is it default.htm? Well, let's minimize this for a second. And then if we go to default document right here, you can see it's going to pull up the default.htm first, because that's where it's being inherited. So if we switch this, just say we put index.html, so it's going to try and pull that file first. So we want to make sure we're pulling the file that's at the top, and it definitely can get more complex as you add more things to the website and do a lot more features to it and stuff. But for just testing purposes, this is what we have at the moment. And it's very basic HTML code, nothing fantastic, nothing, oh wow, you were able to do that, nothing like that. So this is all it is right here. So you just have your header and your paragraph, So if we close out of this, and then also you can change your extension type. So if we do view file name extensions, make sure that's checked. You can see your file name extensions, and then if you want to rename it, you can rename it to just say .pdf or whatever you want to do. But we're just going to keep it like that. Now back on our IIS page, we can go to browse website, and we're going to the port 80, which is HTTP, not secure, plain text. So when we click on that, it brings up our website, and up here it says not secure. But now just say if we go to Amazon.com, see how that has a little lock on it? That means it's secure, and that's what we're going to change our website to show that lock. So we click out of this, minimize this, and then we also need our certificate authority installed. So this is our certificate authority right here. Green check mark, good. And then you're probably wondering, well, what certificate website do we get this from? Well, on most, as long as you're configuring everything the standard way and just clicking next on the install prompts for the certificate authority, if we just go and open up Chrome real quick, and you just type in HTTPS, and you do your host name, and then your domain name, and then / cert SRV, click enter. You're going to get prompted, so you would enter your administrator credentials, whatever you set this up with. I would honestly just use a local admin account for the server, make things easier. Sign in, and there's our certificate page right here where we get everything from. So we're just going to minimize this since we're already there, and we're on the IIS page, so we're going to minimize that. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pull up our Linux VM, and I think it's uname. Yeah, so we're just on a Linux VM. Clear this, and I'm on the print working directory. I'm on the /home directory inside of Brad. I'm not in the root. I'm not in the root account or anything like that. This is just a standard account that I set up for myself. And if we go and open up our SSL Commands sheet right here, you can see we have two commands. The first one we're going to use is this one. So we're going to make an open SSL request, day 730, new one, node out. Where this is going to be our CSR, certificate signing request. This is going to be our key. This would be like basically our private key. And then we're basically private or public, I forget which one it is, and then we're going to use a config file that we have right here, openssl.cfg. And I'm going to show you that config file, which is right here. This is our config file. So if you I'm going to basically put this in the notes and stuff in this and the description of the video, so you all have it. So this is our config file right here. You can see like our country name US, country name default US. It's very basic. I don't recommend changing anything for testing purposes. And this might not even be how you do it in your job environment. But this is the way that I know, one way you can do it. So we close out of this. So if we go ahead and copy this command right here, and we open up our SSL again. So we're going to do an ls, which lists all your current directories. So, and we're in Brad right now. So we're gonna cd to Brad, and then we're going to do ls again. And now we have our open SSL directory. So we're going to cd to open SSL and do an ls again. Now you can see we have that open SSL config. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a directory, and we're going to name it junior sysadmin, because that's our website name. So now if we cd to junior sysadmin, actually what we can do first is if we do a print working directory, so we're in home Brad open SSL. So if we do an ls again, so that means we can just copy the open SSL config from here without typing in the full path or anything like that. So we do copy openssl.cfg, and then you just space it, and you can do /home, /brad/openssl/junior sysadmin. Boom. So now if we cd to junior sysadmin directory, we do an ls. Now you can see we have that openssl config. So I'm going to clear the screen here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to nano, which is a text editor in Linux. We're going to do nano openssl.config. And as you can see here, it's a little bit blown up. That's fine, but it's easier to see. So locality name we will do, let's just do Florida. The OU name can be test, that's fine. The common name is going to be basically your host name or the website name. So we do junior sysadmin.brad.local. Keep that default. And when we come down here, you're going to see alt underscore names. This is your certificate. This is your subject alternative names. So in a certificate, you have subject alternative names, which is basically you can secure multiple host names under one certificate. It's more to that, but that's one of the main things you can do with it. Not a main thing, but it's one of the things you can do. And then if you basically our DNS name is going to be junior sysadmin. And if we have another name we wanted to put on here, we could do DNS.2 equals, and then whatever that other host name is. For Chrome to recognize a site as secure, HTTPS, it has to have a subject alternative name. If it doesn't, it's not going to recognize as the site being secure. So you can also, if you wanted to put an IP address as one of the subject alternative names of the website, you can do that. So you can just do IP.1 equals and then the name. And then if you have two IPs, you can do IP.2 equals and then the name, and so on. But we're going to delete that for now. We're going to Control X because that's all we should really need to do out here just for this lab and in general. So if we Control X, do you want to save? Yes, we do. And then we just hit enter again, and then that saves it. Now if we do a cat, which is you're going to view the contents of a file, you can see we have our junior sysadmin. If we're not going to be able to scroll up because we're just catting it, so we would have to do a nano again so we can scroll up. So yeah, here's that right there. So if we clear out of this, so now it's time to run the command. So we copied this before, copy, and then here we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to do openssl, the request day 7:30, new knows out. The out is the rui.csr, the keyout, which is the rui.key, and then our config file, which is coming from that openssl.cfg. So if we press enter, it's generating everything. So if you have inside of brackets, if you have the US, that means it's going to be like that as default. You don't have to do anything. Click enter. That's testing there. If you want to change it, you can enter something, but you don't have to. Florida, test. And then here you see how we have nothing in the brackets. That means nothing's going to show up. So we have to do the junior sysadmin.brad.local. And we're done. So if we clear out of this again, we do an ls. Now you see we have the rui.csr and we have the rui.key. So what we're going to do is we're basically going to do a cat on rui.csr. So there's our certificate signing request. So if we copy this, Control C that, and then we go back to our Windows server, we open up our Chrome again. We're basically going to request a certificate. And this is a self-signed certificate. We're going to do a advanced certificate request. And here is where you do your certificate. I'm going to hit the backspace one time. This is what we just copied from the Linux VM. And then our certificate template is going to be web server, because that's what our IIS is, basically a web server almost. And then we're going to hit submit. And then once I hit submit, we're going to do a base64 encoded download certificate. So now you see we have a cert new.csr. And just so we don't get things confused here, I'm going to open up the folder. And actually, you can see here on our next command, we're going to be doing .crt. We're not doing the .cer or CSR. We're doing .crt this time, so we have to rename this file. So we're going to do rename. And just so we know what it is, we're going to do junior sysadmin.brad.local.cr, right? I think that's what it was. CRT, I'm sorry. CRT. Rename. And we should get a prompt saying, hey, do you want to do this? Yep. So it's unusable. No, we want to do it. So we click OK here. So there's that. And then, but what we're also going to need is, minimize that again. We have our CER cert file. So this is our root certificate. We're also going to need that. And to download that, if we just go back to the main dashboard of this, and we download a CA certificate chain or CRL, we do base64, and then we're going to do install the certificate authority certificate. And then we're going to show in folder with that. And we're also, I don't think we have to rename this one. No, we do not. So we're going to rename this. Oh, we just deleted it. Control-Z saves you sometimes. Rename. And we're going to do rui.CA. Boom. Cool. So now what we can do is we have our two certificates in here. And actually this video is almost done basically. What we're going to do is we're going to open up our WinSCP. And once you do this a few times, you get the hang of it. So the host name is going to be the IP of my Linux box. Username is going to be Brad, and then our password. And we're going to log in. Cool. So now what we can do is we can open up our SSL folder, junior sysadmin folder, and then we can copy these two certificates over to that Linux box. And this is why I said you need WinSCP, because we're going to be throwing files back and forth between machines. So now if we're back on our Linux box, we clear out of this, and we do an ls. So now we have the .crt file, and we have the root certificate.cer. So now if we come back to the Windows machine, and we're going to copy this command right here. Copy. Boom. So the .pfx is going to be both certificates combined together. So we need to make a few changes here. So the out file for the .pfx is going to be junior sysadmin.brad.local. And this is just so I know what it is and what it's going to be used for. And these certificates have to have a password. So password is going to be test123. And this is our root certificate. So remember what we named that. We named it root.ca.cer. And then this is our .crt file. And then we did not name it CRT, did we? Yes, we did. And then we go to junior sysadmin.brad.local. So we're making the export now to the inkey, which is the rui.key, which is what we got from doing the first command. The init is going to be the junior sysadmin.brad.local.crt. Cert file is going to be the root certificate, password to the certificate, and then we're going to output all of this into a .pfx file. So are you all ready? 1, 2, 3. Boom. Done. So if we do an ls, now we have the .pfx file right here. So if we go back to our WinSCP, we refresh this. Now you can see it's a little bit of a different icon. So if we transfer this, all you got to do is on this PFX file is transfer it back over to your local Windows machine. So we should be done with that now. Close out of this. Press no to enable. Okay. Yes, close out of that. We can close out of this. And now we have our .pfx file right here. So if we're just going to exit out of this, we don't need our search server anymore, or we don't need this website. Back on our IIS website, not IIS website, our ISS app, I guess you should say. We go to right here. Now you see we have server certificates. Click on this, and we're going to import the certificate. Certificate file, see how you have the .pfx. We're going to go to downloads, and then our .pfx is right here. Open, and here comes the password, test123. And then their certificate store is going to be web hosting. Click OK, and boom. There is our web hosting certificate for our website. So now if we go to our website right here, and we go to bindings, this is your bindings. So as you can see, we have port 80 right here for HTTP, but we need to add a port, don't we? Because we need 443 for HTTPS. So we click add, and then we go ahead and we do type HTTPS IP address. We can just do all assign, all unassigned. The host name is going to be junior sysadmin.brad.local. And then our certificate is going to be the junior sysadmin.brad.local. And we click OK. At least one other site using the same HTTPS binding. Are you sure you want to use this, reuse this HTTPS binding, reassign the other site or other sites to use this new certificate? Yes. And we'll click close. Now you can see we have our 443. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart this website. And it restarts pretty quickly actually. If we click on browse, actually you don't even have to click on browse. Go to Chrome, type in HTTPS junior sysadmin.brad.local. And now you see we have the lock right here. So if we click on the lock, click on connection is secure, and we click on the certificate is valid option. As you can see here, we have our OU, which is test, and then this is right here. Details. As you can see, we have our certificate right here. And if we go to the subject alternative name, which is here, this was a DNS name that we put in. So that's really it for this lab purposes. Once you do this a few times, you get everything set up. It's actually pretty easy to do. I would recommend doing it because it's definitely needed in the sysadmin world. And even if you're at help desk trying to transition into a system admin role, this is great labs for you to try and do. But without further ado, I hope you all enjoyed. Please like and subscribe. Comment if you have any questions or need any help. Send me a direct message on LinkedIn, Discord, anything. But other than that, I hope you all have a good New Year if you're watching this now. If not, I hope you all just have a good day. Thank you guys.